It is on to third round action of the NCAA tournament here on TNT. We're at the Century Link Center, Omaha, Nebraska. Beautiful 81-degree day. Getting ready for the number 15 seed in the West region, the Spartans of Norfolk State, going against the 7th seed Gators of Florida, the winner advancing to the Sweet 16. Norfolk State pulling off the enormous upset Friday night over Miami, over the nation's third-ranked team, which led to back-to-back headline pages in the New York Daily News with 8 Norfolk State players from the New York area. And throughout the country, they were the marquee story of the second round. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Steve Kerr and Craig Sager. And Steve, as we look back at that storybook win by Norfolk State, what stands out? The collective effort with the starting lineup accounting for all 86 points.
Well, they had to play a perfect game, Marv, and they did. And it was really their big three of Chris McKeachin, Pendarvis Williams, and Kyle O'Quinn who got it done. They scored 66 of the 86 points for the Spartans. McKeachin knocked down a couple of threes that got him going. Pendarvis Williams was great. Made his shots, controlled the tempo, made a big three there in the second half to keep things going. But it was O'Quinn who was really the star. He established his presence early and made the big plays late.
And now that Norfolk State has earned that kind of respect, what does Billy Donovan's Florida team have to do to get to the Sweet 16?
Marv, I think they have to defend. What Missouri failed to do in that game the other day was they didn't extend their defensive pressure, and they allowed the Spartans to really get into their group. So Missouri's going to come out and attack defensively. I think they're going to press. I think you'll see some double teaming of O'Quinn, and if they can force turnovers like they did against Virginia, you see they turned those turnovers into 18 points. So it's going to be up to Norfolk State to handle the ball.
All right, so coming up, it's the Gators and the Spartans, and this the scene Friday night on the campus of Norfolk State as the seconds were winding down, leading to the upset of Missouri. Let's check out the starting lineups. First for Norfolk State, Chris McKeachin, Marcos Tamares, and Kyle O'Quinn on the front line. Rodney McCauley and Pendarvis Williams are at the guards. Pendarvis, the 6'6" point guard who had a tremendous game the other day. 7 of 9, 4-4 from three-point range, 20 points, 2 assists. Look at Florida, the 2 big men, Eric Murphy and Patrick Young, plus Kenny Boynton, who continues to struggle with the shot, Bradley Beal, and the point guard, Irving Walker. The head coach, Billy Donovan, 16th year as head man of the Gators. He's taken them to 2 national championships, 4 SEC titles. And for Norfolk State, a look at Anthony Evans, born in Brooklyn, 5th year as head coach of the Spartans after 4 years as an assistant. The officials, Antonio Petty, Scott Thurnby, and Brian Dorsey. And Norfolk State in the green controls. They're looking to become the first 15th seed to reach the Sweet 16, as is Lehigh in its game against Xavier later on. O'Quinn attempting the long-range shot.
Well, interesting shot. I mean, he only made 6 threes all season, and what made him so impressive the other day, Marv, was the work down low. He did step out and make a 3 in that game, but I'd like to see him go inside early and often in this one.
Patrick Young, who played well the other day, has his shot rejected. Williams met by Bradley. First ever meeting, as you might expect, between Florida and Norfolk State.
Although the Gators have played a lot of MEAC opponents over the years under Billy Donovan. In fact, undefeated against MEAC teams, about 21-0.
McKeachin, too strong, kept alive by O'Quinn. And it will be Florida ball. Florida out of Gainesville, a record of 24-10, 10-6 in the conference. They came into the tournament with 4 losses their last 5 games. They now have won 2 of the last 3. This is Irving Walker, who's hit from behind. The foul is called on McKeachin.
Now, one thing for Norfolk State, Marv, is that Missouri is actually very similar to Florida in its approach. They play a lot of guards. They really rely on the 3-point shot. and they have a big who will roll to the rim. The other night it was Rala for Missouri. Tonight it's Patrick Young. So I think just understanding defensively what they have to do in a very similar fashion is going to be important.
Watch every 2012 March Madness game live on your computer, iPad, iPhone, or select Android phones with NCAA March Madness Live. Visit ncaa.com/March Madness for more information. Irving Walker, 81% free throw shooter, 5'8" senior out of Brooklyn. Kind of a New York flavor to this matchup.
And here's the full court pressure from Florida, just sticking with straight man-to-man coverage at this point. But we'll see Florida really mix it up and throw a lot of different looks at Norfolk State. But you can see already Walker really trying to get into Williams on the perimeter.
No hesitation from McEachin from downtown. He averaged 13 a game, shooting just under 40%, about 35 from three.
And that was the key the other night. Norfolk State made 10 threes. They average about 5 per game as a team on the season. And I think that's going to be another case tonight where they have to make an inordinate amount of threes.
Boynton draws the foul.
Really nice set, and Norfolk State will do this. When they run sets for their guards, it's usually McEachin coming off a down pick because he's very capable of shooting right over the top of their defenders. And much like the other day, Marv, against Missouri, Norfolk State will have a size advantage in the backcourt with Williams and McEachin. They can shoot over the top of these Florida defenders.
Foul committed by O'Quinn. Kenny Boynton, 75% free throw shooter in the midst of a shooting slump. Florida's leading scorer at 16 a game.
Florida really struggled as a team the other day. 4 for 23 from the three-point line. You've got to think that will improve.
They are usually an excellent three-point shooting team.
38% on the year, and they make more than anybody in the country.
Tamaris, wide open. That was a three-point attempt.
And you saw the double team of O'Quinn the first time he touched the ball on the block. And I like that strategy. Take him out of the game early, make him a passer.
Walker doing some probing, and the ball is deflected out of bounds. And last touch by Florida.
Look at the numbers for Florida the other day with those struggles from the three-point line. But what they did do was make their two-pointers. Look at that, 80%. Highest two-point field goal percentage of any team in the tournament to this point. A lot of those were layups off transition. They forced some turnovers from Virginia and got out and ran.
And this is a Norfolk State team that had been 0-10 against ranked opponents since they joined Division I. McEachin fires one up. He was off balance, but it's kept alive. McCauley gets inside. It counts, and the foul. The hustle of Rodney McCauley, and we saw that all night long against Missouri.
Well, you can do this against Florida. You can offensive rebound. They don't have a lot of size underneath other than Young. And when you shoot threes, the defense is normally really spread out. The Spartans, a very athletic squad. They can beat you to the ball. And McCauley with a great finish drawing the foul.
Foul on Beal. And Steve, you look back to November, Norfolk State lost at home to Elizabeth City State, a Division II school, before a crowd of about 1,100. And they committed 34 turnovers on their home floor.
Pretty amazing. And if you look at their losses, Marv, 9 of them total. They've averaged 18 turnovers in those games as Young can't get the post move to go. So I think the key to this game for Norfolk State, one of them is to take care of the basketball, and another is obviously to defend. That's what this team is built on, is their defense.
Beautiful block by Quinn to knock it away. Scotty Wilbekin has come on for Florida. Here's Beal, and he's rejected from behind by McEachin. That lands in the crowd.
It's really impressive how much ground this team covers. We talked about the fact that they have a lot of size all over the floor. Their guards are both about 6'5", and they're rangy, long arms. And they're covering a ton of ground out here.
Well, Boynton knocks down a three. He missed his previous 9, so that's a good sign for the Gators.
Huge sign. All SEC performer, as you mentioned, Marv, the leading scorer for the Gators. He needs to have a game where he has his confidence going here.
Pass from Pendarvis Williams, knocked away, knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Florida, leading to a timeout. 4 minutes gone by. Gators by 1.
With Florida leading Norfolk State 7-6, it's time for the Powerade Sideline Report. The toughest assignment on the floor tonight belongs to Patrick Young of Florida, who is matched up with Kyle O'Quinn of Norfolk State, who had 26 points and 14 rebounds, that upset of Missouri. Now, Young has been in this position before 3 times this year. He has matched up with Anthony Davis of Kentucky. He more than held his own, averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, and committing a total of just 5 fouls. He also had his biggest game of the year against Jared Sullivan of Ohio State with 14 points and 12 rebounds. He is not only big and strong, but he's a student of the game, watches a lot of tape and film of his opponent, and was the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year.
An impressive resume.
And with that said, I still think you're going to see a lot of double teaming of O'Quinn. You see the bad pass there from Tomas. O'Quinn only played 2 years of high school basketball. He's more of a power player than a field player. And power players don't like to be double teamed because now they have to make decisions and pass out of the double. O'Quinn averages only 1 assist per game, so not a great passer. I would double him every time he touches the ball. Make these guys make threes from the perimeter.
Gators back in possession. Casey Prather, who had a career game the other day coming off the bench, just checked in and hits on his first attempt.
He had 14 points. He was 6 for 7 in that game. Marvin played tremendous defense.
There is Boynton. It counts and the foul. So Kenny Boynton, after hitting that 3, showing a little pop to his step as he takes to the rim, and he will head to the line.
He's a streaky player, and when he can make threes, you can see he gets a bounce to his step. All of a sudden, he's getting to the hoop and making little floaters like this one. In Florida, the last few possessions, Marv, is showing its hand. They're showing what they really want to do. They're mixing and matching on O'Quinn, and then they're providing a lot of defensive pressure up the floor. And again, Missouri failed to do that the other day. They allowed Norfolk State to basically walk the ball up the floor all game, and they stayed in that comfort zone. Florida already bothering Norfolk State here early.
Foul was on McGeechan. He sits down. Brandon Willis, a 6'4" senior, has come on, as has Jamel Fuentes. Back up point guard. The threat is rejected emphatically by Prather. Walker took a hit to the head. Fuentes tried to cut him off, and Walker caught the elbow.
Norfolk State foul number 3, Jamel Fuentes. That's his first personal foul.
This game being played at a much faster pace from pass to pass than the other day against Missouri. You see the collision. He takes an elbow to his head. But in that game, Norfolk State was just able to move the ball on at will. Missouri really only plays 6 or 7 deep, and so they didn't want to wear themselves out. Florida plays a lot of bodies. They'll play 9 or 10 guys, and Billy Donovan will keep this pressure going all game. Really try to take Norfolk State out of its offense and get them in a hurry, and that's what we've seen here the last few minutes.
And now Mike Rosario comes on for Irving Walker. And they are taking a look at the play,
well, anytime
to determine whether it might be a flagrant foul.
Right, exactly. Anytime that there's a player that's hit above the neck, the officials are allowed to take a look at the replay and determine whether it's a flagrant 1 or even a flagrant 2 foul. That was totally incidental. I mean, we were able to see the replay. I can't imagine there would be any flagrant call on that.
Well, flagrant 1 is contact, as you mentioned, above the shoulders, the elbows not being swung excessively. That would mean 2 shots and the ball to the offending team, and then a flagrant 2. Extremely excessive force or abusive conduct, and that's 2 shots possession plus ejection.
Yeah. Not just excessive force, Marv. Extremely excessive force.
Exactly. The officiating crew taking a look, and that's the correct call.
Yeah.
It's just a normal personal foul.
But nice job by the officials to get it right. Meanwhile, Walker goes to the bench. He'll get a blow, and see Rosario coming in. Florida with a pretty deep team here. And they're gonna funnel guys in and out throughout the 40 minutes.
Wilbekin and Rosario in the backcourt. Rosario transfer out of Rutgers. Prather is in there along with Beal and Young, and they're red hot here at the start. Bradley Beal from downtown, and Florida has opened up a 15-6 lead with an 11-0 run.
Well, remember the other day, Marv, they were 1 for 15 from the three-point line in the first half against Virginia. And Billy Donovan told Craig Sager at halftime, he said, we were just nervous. That, you know, the first game you play in the tournament, you're edgy, you're nervous, and I think they're much more settled here today. You can just see it.
Well, Florida beat Virginia by 26. Pulling away with that 17-2 spurt in the second half. Here's Wilbekin. It's kept alive, and Beal with the follow. Norfolk State calls for time.
Beal with the basket. Timeout, Norfolk State.
All right, thank you, Greg. 13 unanswered points for the Gators of Florida. The winner of this game advances to the Sweet 16 to face Marquette in Phoenix, Arizona next Friday. A 17-6 lead by Florida.
And you wonder about the turnaround time for Norfolk State with all the hype yesterday, the emotion of the win. You know, do they have enough emotionally to make this quick turnaround and play against a high-octane, tough defensive team in Florida?
And received a lot of media attention around the country, particularly in New York.
Well deserved, but you know, you've got to turn right around and play just 36 hours later or so. Not an easy task.
Eric Murphy has returned for Florida, as has Irving Walker after taking that shot just moments ago.
I think the other thing that happens in these tournaments, Marv, is Billy Donovan had a chance to watch that game against Missouri as Johnson misses the turnaround. So you have the advantage of watching the team play against another really good team and really kind of figuring out a game plan. Murphy knocking down the 3, and I think that's a big advantage for a team like Florida that can beat you in a lot of different ways with their defensive pressure.
And the Gators are now 3 of 4 from beyond that three-point line. Quite a difference from what took place in their second-round game against Virginia. They are usually a very good three-point shooting team. Meanwhile, Norfolk State having difficulty hitting a shot. They're 1 for 9 from downtown. Let's go to Craig.
Well, Coach Anthony Evans has a mentor in Fane Mitchell. For 26 years, he's been the coach at Coppin State. He was in this position in 1997 after his team upset the number 2 seed South Carolina. They talked extensively this weekend. Coach Mitchell said, listen, you have to focus. You have to get this team to forget about what happened and divide this game into 4 minutes. Those TV timeouts. So the first 4 minutes, they lost by 1 point. This one, they're losing by 13. Mark?
Do you buy that stuff, Steve? 4-minute increments?
I do, especially at the college game because of all the timeouts and because of the nature of the tournament, the one-and-done format. What you want to do is hang around and continue to respond each time you're faced with a run. And that's what this team did the other day. Every time Missouri put them on the ropes a little bit, they came through with the big shot or the big stop or the big steal. And I think you've got to continue to do that and make the favorite nervous, and that's what we saw late the other night with Missouri.
However, Norfolk State 2 of 15 from the field. Nice pass down low. Pass for Young, and a reach-in foul is called. So the early onslaught continues. Florida with the big lead. take a look at our tournament summary. These are the headlines. 3 Big East teams already in the Sweet 16, and South Florida has a shot to join them. They'll go up against Ohio University about 40 minutes from now. Indiana, first Sweet 16 appearance since back in 2002, and Kentucky rolls on.
Meanwhile, Murphy knocks down his second 3, and the onslaught continues for Florida.
19 consecutive points by the Gators. They double up on McEachin. Norfolk State also having difficulty locating good shots. A different story from what we saw Friday night against third-ranked Missouri. Fired up by Brandon Good, who did not play at all in the game against Missouri. He is a sophomore, 6'10".
Anthony Evans taking O'Quinn out, and I think that's a good move. He's already launched 2 3-pointers. He was 6 for 30 on the season. O'Quinn has not established anything inside, and I think he's got to get down on the block where he belongs.
Took him out after he picked up that second foul. Walker with a long 3-pointer. Irving Walker from downtown. The Gators all season long reliant on their outside shooting. Lead the nation. They average 10 3-pointers a game. They're number 1 in total 3-pointers. Off the steal, here is Beal.
Bradley Beal. Timeout, Norfolk State.
And Norfolk State calls for time, with Florida now leading 28-6 off 24 consecutive points. Back in Omaha, Marv Albert along with Steve Kerr and Craig Sager. Norfolk State coming off one of the remarkable upsets in NCAA early round history, fighting a different story here this evening.
Totally different style from Florida defensively, getting up underneath the Norfolk State players. Nice pass there, but you can see with the missed jump shots, I mean, they're just not the same. They've just lost their rhythm. They're all out of sorts because of the pressure.
Foul on McCauley of Norfolk State. There is Kyle O'Quinn, averaging 16 a game to lead the Spartans in scoring, but not able to get anything going in the early moments, and picked up those 2 early fouls. We are halfway through this first half.
I'm not sure if you're Anthony Evans, you can afford to keep O'Quinn on the bench. Or if you're down 22 already, I know he's got the 2 fouls, but I mean, if this thing gets much more than it is already, the lead I'm talking about, it won't matter.
Reach and foul is called on Brandon Good, who's playing for O'Quinn. Well, Conan's all new next week on TBS. Don't miss Ewan McGregor, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq will be on hand along with Joel McHale and Will Ferrell. All new Conan starts tomorrow at 11 Eastern, 10 Central on TBS. Patrick Young at the line, averaging 10 points a game. Shooting 61%. For the most part, everything is close in. He was 6 for 6 in the game the other day against Virginia, but 4 of the 6 were dunks.
Yeah, they like to run him off of high pick and roll. They run more ball screens than just about anybody in the country as Williams gets into the paint.
Pendarvis Williams stops the 25-0 scoring streak by Florida.
Finally, Williams using that size. We saw him do that, quite a bit of that the other day against the smaller Missouri guards. But Florida's defensive pressure has extended so far out that Norfolk State's offense has been totally out of whack. They haven't been able to get into position to score in there.
Foul committed by McEachin. And as you see, Kyle O'Quinn back on the floor. Irving Walker on the line in the 1-and-1. It's Casey Prather, who played so well the other day.
Billy Donovan continues to shuttle players in and out of the lineup. And the other day, I thought that was key against Virginia and their star, Mike Scott. They put 5 different defenders on him during the course of that game. They also played some zone. They sent some double teams his way. And what that does is it keeps the team off balance, but it also keeps Young out of foul trouble. And I thought that was really important in keeping Mike Scott in check.
And again, Norfolk State facing the pressure. So Steve Pugh now in at the point. This is Pugh. Shot clock is down to 5. It's like Wilbekin called for that foul.
Talking about Florida's defense. Well, look what they did to Virginia the other day. 45 points for UVA, school record for Florida in terms of fewest points allowed in a tournament game.
Williams looking for the screen, could not find it, gets it off. Boynton putting a move on McCauley. Boynton with the runner. Yes. Wow.
Beautifully done. All set up by that first shot he made from 3, Marvy. He got some confidence. Also forced the Norfolk State players to respect that 3. You can see they challenge him out there. Got the speed to go right around.
Boynton, the high man, with 10 points. This is a 3-pointer. Marcos Tamares from downtown, so Florida now leads at 33-11.
And well done by O'Quinn, who was double teamed and made the perfect pass in rhythm to his teammate.
Boynton coming up short. O'Quinn with the stuff. And Billy Donovan takes a timeout.
Now finally, little momentum for the Spartans. A 3 and then a steal and a dunk from O'Quinn.
Well, we talked quite a bit about Kyle O'Quinn the other night during their win over Missouri. Had only one scholarship offer after coming out of high school, Campus Magnet in Queens, New York. That's his dad, Tommy, rooting him on. Tommy had booked his hotel room here in Omaha for only Friday night, but with an option to extend, and he was happy to do so. He said that his wife Regina stayed back home in New York. His dad said Regina is penny conscious, penny wise, and pound foolish. I'm sure Regina will appreciate that assessment.
No problem staying a couple extra days and paying the extra money if it means getting to watch your son play another NCAA tournament game.
I hope Regina's at a rating household. Here's Wilbekin. Scotty Wilbekin, the sophomore from Gainesville, extends to a 35-13 Florida lead.
Big timeout from Billy Donovan, just getting his team settled. I also think he's probably talked to his group about the strategy against O'Quinn. I would expect the next double team to come on the dribble and not right away. Maybe I'm wrong, it came right away.
Beal handling. Prather wide open. Kept alive by Young, and they can reset. Walker out of control.
Good job by Beal. Just a freshman, but a great awareness for the game and understanding clock and possession by possession. Florida had no advantage, but then he makes the bad pass.
That lob intended for Patrick Young. Nice move by Q to go all the way.
It's amazing how often a turnover or a bad shot leads to a bucket at the other end. Your defense isn't settled, and you're just totally exposed at the other end.
6 minutes to play in this first half. At one stretch, Florida had 25 unanswered points. Irving Walker with the runner. 5'8" senior point guard out of Brooklyn. McCauley is turned back. Norfolk State gets back. Wilbekin kicks it out. Walker passed on a three. Wilbekin shoots for three. And the foul is called. Leading to a timeout with 5.5 left, first half.
Back in Omaha, Florida, in complete control thanks to their pressure defense and their hot shooting. They're 5 for 9 from the three-point line tonight. Murphy has made a couple of them. Walker, we saw Beal make one earlier. And a total turnaround from the other day when they were 4 for 23 in their opening round game.
Off that foul a moment ago by Pendarvis Williams, the free throws you saw missed by Prather. 37-15 Florida. Williams. Beal pulls it up for three. And the foul is called on Florida.
Florida foul, number 5.
It's on Wilbekin as we take a look at our game summary. You can see that Norfolk State shooting at 6 of 25.
We talk about the Florida defensive pressure. Norfolk State has actually done a good job of taking care of the ball. Only 4 turnovers, but they've been out of sorts in terms of their offensive rhythm. Everything is rushed. Not like the other day where they just looked like they were in total control. And as a result, they've lost their emotion too. The crowd is out of it. And everybody looks, well, like you'd expect them to look, down 22.
Few off the fake. Rebounded by Point. Rosario played by Wheelis. Now they regroup. Irving Walker back at the point. Gets the screen. Sets it up for Murphy for three. Comes back to Murphy. Nice ball movement. Boynton open. Not able to hit the three. Murphy missed the tip. And the rejection, but it counts. It's a goaltend called on O'Quinn.
Yeah, really good call from Antonio Petty. That was a quick block and tough to see, but it seemed to me that that ball was on the board just for a split second there before being blocked by O'Quinn. Let's take another look here. The crowd doesn't agree. Did it come off the board or did it come off the rim? It was tough to tell. From our angle, it looked like it came from the board.
Rosario gets credit for the field goal. And now I'm told that Kyle O'Quinn's mom is actually here as Williams turns it over. Craig Sager doing his usual extensive investigative reporting.
There's that look. It gets hit from behind, then it hits the rim, and then it's blocked. So I stand corrected. That was not a good call by the official, but tough to see. It all happened so fast. It sure looked from here like it came off the backboard, and that's what the officials saw as well.
Rosario for three. So after the bucket by virtue of the goaltend, he's able to knock down a three, and Florida leads at 42-15.
Rosario's come in and done a really nice job. Not just those 2 buckets, but making the extra pass, making good decisions with the ball. In fact, Florida's entire team has been so patient here offensively, making pass after pass.
Nice move by Brandon Wheelis. Brandon Wheelis, a senior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Murphy gets inside, and then it's deflected out of bounds. Wheelis at 25 years of age, the oldest player on the team. Attended North Carolina A&T for a year, then served 3 years in the Navy. Back in a moment. All right, thank you, Greg. As you can see, the Midwest region, the winner of North Carolina Creighton will face the winner of South Florida and Ohio U as we come up on 3 minutes to play. In this first half, it has been all Florida. Jordan Weathers has played in only 15 games all season long, has just come on for Norfolk State, and they will take possession. Norfolk State of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, 26-9 on the season. They turned it from 12-20 a year ago. They won the Mid-Eastern Athletic Tournament for the first time. 26 wins, the most they put together since joining Division I in the 1988 season. Rob Johnson with his first field goal.
They won 8 straight games coming into this one. Well, they got hot at the right time. They played absolutely the perfect game against Missouri. But Florida was not going to be caught off guard here early. Billy Donovan's team came in with a great game plan and took the Spartans really out of rhythm immediately.
Shot clock out of 4. They swing it, Beal, and that is a travel.
Good closeout from Pendarvis Williams. 6'5" point guard with long arms.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, scores and highlights and the latest NCAA tournament news, plus the announcement of the finalists for the Naismith Award presented by AT&T. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Quinn with a nice backdoor feed. And Pendarvis Williams will go to the line.
Beautiful pass from O'Quinn. I love that set from Anthony Evans. Florida putting a lot of pressure on the perimeter. So what do you do as a team? You use that pressure against the defense and set up a backdoor play. Williams, a couple free throws here.
Foul committed by Beal, his second. Williams an 82% free throw shooter.
You can see O'Quinn getting his teammates set up, and then they had that one set up. Florida switched it, but Beal lost vision.
Different story here this evening for Pendarvis Williams, who played so brilliantly the other night against Missouri.
Normally, when you pull off an upset like that and you shoot much better than you normally do, it's tough to keep it going, and continue to shoot well over your season average. And if Rosario misses a 3. VCU actually did it last year, Marv. They shot, I think, 7 or 8 percentage points higher from 3 throughout the tournament than they did in the regular season. But that is extremely rare. It usually will only happen, on an individual game basis.
Boynton handing off to Walker. Another runner.
Irving Walker.
Excellent first half for Irving Walker. He now has 11 points. Final minute of the half. Florida breaking it open with that 25-0 spurt. That's more than a spurt.
Yeah, an avalanche.
Quinn, not a good shot.
Norfolk State falls back into that zone. We saw that the other day against Missouri. They really mixed and matched well, kept Missouri off balance, but Florida in such a good groove here. I don't think it's going to matter much what Norfolk State does. They're really moving the ball well.
Boynton off on a 3. First half coming to a close. That's a 3-point attempt. Deflected out, last touch by Rob Johnson of Norfolk State with 7 seconds to play in the half. Walker races it across, kicks it out. Rosario, yes! He hits from downtown as the first half comes to a close. Florida with a 47-19 lead at halftime. A terrific shooting performance. 7 of 16 from downtown. Let's go to Craig with Billy Donovan.
Well, Billy, you were sitting courtside Friday night when Norfolk State upset Missouri. What did you see then that you tried to take away and were able to in this first half?
Well, you know what, Craig, I can tell you in this tournament, one day to the next is always different, and obviously we've tried to double team O'Quinn some because he's a good player, obviously. He's picked up a couple fouls early. We tried to obviously guard the three-point line and made 10 against Missouri. So, it's only one half right now, but I think our guys are playing hard. Their guys are playing hard, and we were fortunate that we probably made a few more shots than they did in the first half.
All right, thanks a lot. It's one half, but Florida with a commanding 47-19 lead at intermission. We'll send you to AT&T at the half after a quick break. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
Scenario right from the start today. O'Quinn is playing with 2 fouls. Coming up short. Walker for 3. Peachin trying to keep it alive. A save by O'Quinn, but ends up with the Gators. And a foul. A reach-in from behind. It's on Pendarvis Williams. Well, the Sweet 16 begins Thursday with the Infinity NCAA tip-off on TBS at 6 p.m., followed by doubleheaders on CBS and TBS.
First possession at the other end, they go into O'Quinn, and Florida does not double team to start with. And one of the benefits of mixing and matching and double teaming in that first half and throwing different bodies at O'Quinn, Billy Donovan now has Patrick Young on the floor with 0 fouls for this second half. And with such a commanding lead, and with O'Quinn now 1 for 8 from the field and not in any kind of groove, I wouldn't be surprised to see Florida single cover him, make him make a couple of shots before they start bringing that double again.
Norfolk State with McKeachin, Tamaras, O'Quinn up front, McCauley and Williams are at the guards. McCauley got tied up and lost it, deflected off his knee. South Florida and Ohio University have just begun over on TBS. Florida with their starting lineup: Murphy and Young, Boynton, Beal, and Walker. This is Bradley Beal to a wide open Patrick Young.
Very late on the rotation for Norfolk State, and beautifully done by Young, who just slips that screen and finds himself wide open.
Tamaras from straight away. Marcos Tamaras, a senior from Bayside in Queens. Boynton, with lots of room, takes to the rim and scores. It has been too easy here at the start of the second half for the Gators.
Well, they had their will taken, Norfolk State did, in that first half. And now it's about fighting every possession and just trying to find some kind of momentum at some point. Obviously, the chances of winning are really slim, but you want to just play well and play hard here and not lose focus like they did here. Watch the slip screen and no weak side help. Everybody caught looking at the screen.
Foul committed by Eric Murphy of Florida, so Marcos Tamaras at the line of 70% free throw shooter.
Substitution for Norfolk State, number 45, A.J. Rogers.
Now O'Quinn will sit down. A.J. Rogers, 6'7" junior, coming on for Norfolk State. Some pressure and a steal. Tamaras rejected by Murphy. They looked to pressure on the inbounds and almost came up with 2 points. A long 3 by Beal. Rebounded by Rogers. Tamaras from downtown. 10 points for Marcos Tamaras. Florida now leads 52-26.
Tamaras has played well here today. Played extremely well against Missouri. A little bit of everything from him. He's a defender, an energy guy. You see him now guarding Murphy, so he can guard multiple positions.
Nice bounce pass from Beal to set it up for Murphy.
That's what we've seen all game from Florida. Just ball movement, no thought from Beal. Just hit the open guy. And when you do that, when you just start passing without thinking, hit the open guy and then make the next pass from there, you get a lot of open shots.
There was a deep catch attempt by Tamaras a moment ago. The foul was called as Beal was grabbed and he's being ushered aside by Young.
Here's that pass from Beal. Little double team. Nice flash from Murphy. Bounce pass. Puts that ball right in rhythm for that little hook shot.
Foul committed by McCauley, and Beal took exception to that foul.
And he should have. He got clotheslined right around his neck. And I'm sure he didn't appreciate it, but in these situations, you always have to be very careful, because if you retaliate, you put yourself in jeopardy for the next game.
Scotty Wilbekin has come on for Florida, replacing Kenny Boynton. Walker with a crossover on Fuentes, then kicks it out. Here is Walker. And it is called a charge. Offensive foul.
Offensive foul on Florida's number 11, Walker. His first personal. They gave him a second team foul.
Billy Donovan obviously does not agree with the call. Looked to me like Walker had turned the corner and the defender did not have position.
4 minutes gone by in the second half here in Omaha. Florida with that 25 consecutive point run back in the first half. Fuentes for Norfolk State. This is Pugh, just checked back in. Rogers trying to reel his way in on Murphy. He does, and draws the foul. Murphy called for his second. Back in a moment.
Greg Gumbel in New York with an All-State March Mayhem update over on TBS in Nashville. South Florida on an 8-0 run. Victor Rudd Jr. the slam on the baseline. 14-12 South Florida leading Ohio. Back to Marv and Steve.
All right, thank you, Greg. A.J. Rogers of Norfolk State at the line, a junior out of Rosedale, New York, transfer from St. Joe's, a member of the St. Anthony High School team that went 32-0 back in 07-08. Nation's top-ranked high school team.
Coached by Bob Hurley, the legendary Bob Hurley.
Florida shooting 53%, exactly what they shot in the win on Friday against Virginia, as Murphy lines up the three, although they shot 80% from two-point range, which is most unusual because they were not hitting their threes, only 4 of 23 from downtown.
Much more balanced effort here tonight, but there's that penetration that Evans was talking about at halftime. The three by Wilbekin off the penetration from Walker.
Scotty Wilbekin in the scoring column. He has 5 points. So Billy Donovan getting offense from both Wilbekin and Rosario.
They are so tough to cover when they can get into the lane like that, because they've got shooters literally all over the floor. Williams knocks down the three.
Intended pass from Murphy was off the mark. Jarvis Williams looking to penetrate and hit on a reach-in.
Foul on Florida's number 5.
Foul on Wilbekin. This year, enjoy more madness with Coke Zero. Text CAMP to 2653 for a chance to attend an ultimate basketball camp with 3 of your friends. Steve,
Just 3?
I can see you texting
You?
immediately.
How about you, me, Sager?
You mentioned friends.
Who else? Who's our third?
Statistician Paul Evans.
Yeah.
He goes, what, 6'10"?
Yeah, we need a big one. Good call.
Akichin. Packet. And a foul is called. If it is O'Quinn, it is number 3. It is. That's his 3rd foul. He has not been able to stay on the floor.
No, Florida took him out of the game right away with those double teams, and he's a player who really thrives on making a few shots like he did early against Missouri. And once he got going, you could see the emotion in that game. That pass from Wilbekin.
Well, Billy Donovan not happy with that pass.
But O'Quinn, understandably, very little emotion, very little passion, almost from the start because of what Florida did to him.
Talking the other day with head coach Anthony Evans of Norfolk State about O'Quinn coming from campus magnet High School, and I know you mentioned you never heard of that school. It actually used to be Andrew Jackson High School, which has produced Hall of Famer Bob Cousy, along with Lloyd Daniels, who played in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And one of your favorites, 50 Cent. Let's go to Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, Steve was talking about the inability for Norfolk State to play when Kyle Quinn is in foul trouble. He's fouled out 4 times this year, and not coincidentally, the 3 biggest losses in their season: Marquette, Illinois State, Virginia Tech. He has very hard trouble, obviously, staying in foul trouble when he gets it, and the team cannot play when he's sitting on the bench. Mark?
All right, Craig. Prather picked up that foul for Florida. Quinn comes up short, rebounded by Beal.
Patrick Young is really strong as a defender, and he matches up pretty well with O'Quinn. I thought O'Quinn had a physical advantage against Missouri that's probably not there today.
Quinn is 1 of 9, just 2 points, only 3 rebounds,
Timeout,
and
Florida.
3 fouls. Timeout taken. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championships. Florida has led by as many as 31. They now lead by 27. Gators will put it in play. Irving Walker. Nice move on Fuentes. Here's Rosario. Rebounded by Fuentes. 7 minutes gone by in the second half. And back comes Florida. Rosario ahead of the field, but Boynton took it in the distance. It's 14 points for Kenny Boynton. So he's had a big bounce back game. Come into today's play struggling, particularly from 3-point range. Then hit a 3 early after he missed his previous 9. Rogers off the spin, and that draws a foul.
What a performance today, Marv, from Florida. Remember, you and I were in Gainesville a couple of weeks ago for the Kentucky game, and Billy Donovan told us that he had so much trouble getting this team motivated to play hard on a nightly basis. He said there were times during the season where he felt like he literally had to drag his players by the shirt up a hill to get them to play hard and play together. Had a very bad loss at Georgia, and he was questioning his team's heart and toughness. And they've obviously responded since then. Played very well in the SEC tournament, losing a close one to Kentucky. And now 2 very impressive performances to start this tournament.
The officials at the monitor are reviewing the previous play.
They had come into the tournament with 4 losses their last 5 games, and apparently the officials over at the scorer's table, Boynton, we're told, pushed one of the Norfolk State players in the back of the head, and that is what they are looking at. As we look at the 6-15 seeds to upset the number 2s, and it has been very difficult to follow up on that victory. Coppin State back in 1997 lost to Texas by 1 point. We see what is happening here to Norfolk State after the win over Missouri. We'll see how Lehigh fares today.
Awfully tough to come back from all that emotion and get ready for a team that is waiting for you. You know, there's no question Billy Donovan had his players' attention as soon as this upset happened with Norfolk State and Missouri the other night. I mean, they were so impressive that Billy Donovan, all he had to do was show them a little tape and say, look, these guys are athletic, they're well coached, they played with great emotion, they're going to be ready, and you better be too.
The officials say that there is a foul on a dead ball and elbow or a push by Boynton as he made contact with Brandon Wheelis.
So that'll be a flagrant 1 foul.
And that is why they went to the replay just to check it out.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yep.
Rogers hitting the 2 free throws. And now this is McKeachin for the flagrant free throw. Once again for a flagrant one, which that was. Contact above the shoulders, elbows not being swung in an excessive manner. 2 shots on the ball to defend the team.
Yeah. If Boynton had swung hard at him, that would have been a flagrant 2, and he would have been ejected. But again, important for all these players out here for Florida to keep their composure here. You know, if you end up in an altercation where you throw a punch or get in a fight, you're suspended for the next game. You've got to keep poised here if you're Florida. Finish this game off the right way, and then you can start getting ready for Marquette.
Here is Williams. So that, in effect, was a 4-point play off the free throw. Walker puts the speed on, and it's put down by Young. Patrick Young on the follow. Norfolk State trying to break. Pugh, yes. 61-36, Florida. Murphy with room for 3. Nice follow by Rosario.
He's been impressive here today. Very active. Guy who transferred from Rutgers. He was their leading scorer a couple of years ago. Decided he wanted to play for Billy Donovan. Took on a much lesser role with the Gators, but has responded and played well.
10 points off the bench for Rosario. Tavares not able to hit from downtown. But followed by Rogers, who's done a good job coming in off the bench.
Yeah, Norfolk State playing hard and continuing to compete here. I think they were sort of shocked by what happened to them in the first half, but they look like they've kind of gotten into their game a little bit. They're more attentive, they're more active, trying to finish this game the right way.
Strong move by Beal, and he was fouled. When we come back, Beal fouled on the act. Will head to the line. Foul committed by Wheelis. 11:09 remaining. Second half, it has been all Gators. A reminder, second round coverage of the 2012 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship begins tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. For more information, go to NCAA.com. The winner here, and it would take a dramatic, miraculous turn by Norfolk State, but the winner advances to the Sweet 16 to face Marquette in Phoenix. Coming up after this game here on TNT, we have Kansas and Purdue, a third-round game, and the winner to go up against North Carolina State. The Wolfpack defeating Georgetown this afternoon, and that game will take place at the Edward Jones Dome next Friday in St. Louis, and that figures to be quite a field.
Yeah, pretty good regional there. North Carolina State looks nothing like an 11 seed right now. They are gifted, athletic, big front line, very skilled. And that was quite a game against Georgetown. Boy has fought back at the end, but couldn't quite pull it off.
And North Carolina in that region off the victory over Creighton. Nice pass from Walker. They swing it. Ball movement has been excellent here for the Gators. Wilbekin back out for Walker. Good recovery by Williams of Norfolk State, and they have to reset.
Yeah, the folks here in Omaha not thrilled with the result of that Carolina-Creighton game. A lot of Creighton fans in the building tonight.
Rogers with the block on Walker. Shot clock at 1. Rosario coming up short. And it's a shot clock violation.
Billy Donovan not happy with Irving Walker, who decided to go into his dribbling exhibition with the shot clock running down. The beauty of the Florida Gator offense, when it's clicking like it has been today, is ball movement. And as soon as it stops, everything breaks down. And that's maybe the first time all day that we've seen the offense come to a halt.
Air ball thrown up by Pugh. Here comes Walker. And the call is a blocking foul. Foul on Pugh.
Take a look at the brackets in St. Louis next week. Carolina plays the winner of South Florida, Ohio. And then the other side, NC State and the winner of our next game coming up on TNT, Purdue and Kansas. And of course the marquee matchup, if you look down the road, which is obviously very dangerous to do in the NCAA tournament, but a Kansas-Carolina Elite Eight matchup would really be something. Two of the great programs in the history of college basketball, but a lot of ball to be played before we get to that point.
Former head coach of Kansas going up against Bill Self. The Jayhawks with an impressive game the other day as they pulled away from Detroit in the second half. Here is McEachin, rebounded by Bolton.
Meanwhile, with Florida enjoying this big lead, probably time to start thinking about the Marquette matchup next Thursday in Phoenix, because that would be a great matchup of teams who are athletic, can shoot the ball, can get out and defend. That will be fun to watch.
Kansas against Purdue. That is next here in Omaha. Purdue pulling away from St. Mary's the other day. St. Mary's of the West Coast Conference, and then St. Mary's turned it around down the stretch in the second half and made it a game.
That was an amazing finish. It looked like St. Mary's was dead in the water with 4.5 minutes left. They finally woke up, went on that huge run, and that had to be heartbreaking for Randy Bennett and his club. Take the lead in the final 30 seconds and have the ball, but they couldn't complete it.
It has been a long day for Kylo Quinn, coming off a sensational game here on Friday against Missouri. Kyle, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Player of the Year and the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference for the second straight season. He's been in foul trouble for a good portion of tonight's game. Bradley Beal. He now has 14 off that three-pointer.
Anthony Evans not happy with that dribble penetration. He talked about it at halftime with Craig Sager. Walker continues to get into the lane. Beal knocking down the three.
You can get exclusive in-game video highlights, up to the minute scores and stats of all NCAA March Madness games at NCAA.com. 8.5 remaining in the game. Norfolk State in possession. Rob Johnson. And Brandon Wheelis with his second field goal. Talked about Wheelis briefly back in the first half. Attended North Carolina A&T and then transferred. Spent 3 years in the Navy. He's 25 years old. The oldest player on the court. Here's Walker, rebounded by Johnson. Pass intended for Willis. Good job able to control, turns and fires for three. Johnson for Tamaris. Good hustle. And then Young is able to get to it. He's fouled. Foul committed by Williams of Norfolk State. We'll take a break. Back to Omaha in a moment. All right, thank you, Greg. And here in Omaha, the Gators of Florida making their way in the direction of the Sweet 16 with 7:43 to go in the second half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager, Kansas and Purdue to follow here on TNT. You look at this Florida squad. They lost their entire front court from last season, including the SEC Player of the Year, Chandler Parsons, who's now a member of the Houston Rockets. So they have been guard heavy. They go with a three-guard set. The two big men, Eric Murphy and Patrick Young. Murphy more of a finesse big man, shoots threes, but they do have one of the most talented combo backcourts in the country.
They do, and they've got some experience. It's a factor as Boynton scores. Again, he's had a nice night. Remember, this team went to the Elite Eight a year ago, lost to Butler in overtime. These guys have had plenty of NCAA tournament experience. There's that runner for Boynton. And how about Billy Donovan over his 16 years in Florida, what he's done? A couple of national titles back-to-back. He made the final against Michigan State back in 2000. That was the Mateen Cleaves team. An amazing record for a guy who shows up at a football school and very little basketball history. It just completely gets the program going.
As a player under Rick Pitino at Providence, helped lead the Friars to the Final Four in 1987. Played a season with the Knicks. And after a year working with an investment bank on Wall Street, decided that coaching was his first love, and then spent time as an assistant and associate coach with Rick at Kentucky, including that Final Four run in 1993. Rogers scores again. He has 7 points. And with the Gators, Donovan has taken them to the 2 national titles, 3 appearances in the championship game, which is remarkable, and the 4 SEC championships.
And now back-to-back Sweet 16s last year and this year. So just an amazingly consistent run for Billy. What I like is you look at some of the other teams that have had consecutive 20-plus win seasons. Kansas coming up next, we'll see them. Florida 14 years in a row. What I like about Donovan's teams is they have a real identity. They play a lot of people. They mix their defenses up. They'll pressure you. He likes to shoot threes. That comes from Rick Pitino. That Providence team that he played for in '87 really launched threes. And of course the Kentucky teams that Donovan was an assistant coach on, they fired away from that stripe as well. So really a reflection of their coach. They get after you, and they're gonna fire away from long range.
Ball deflected out by Young. Eric Murphy and Irving Walker return for Florida, replacing Young and Beal as we come up on 6 minutes to play. Rob Johnson called for the offensive foul. It is a charge. Good job by Wilbekin taking the hit.
It's amazing when we talk about Florida, Marv. You mentioned this earlier. They actually lost six of their last 10 games. And I believe 3 of their last 4 as well. Maybe even 4 out of their last 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. But they played well in the SEC tournament, losing to Kentucky in a very close game in the semis. And Billy Donovan told us the other day that the team really picked up a lot of confidence from that game. So even though they were struggling overall and kind of big picture last 10 games type thing, he felt like they had some momentum just coming from last weekend, and it's definitely carried over.
Billy assisted by John Pelfrey, also played for Rick Pitino in Kentucky. Norm Roberts, one-time head coach of St. John's, and Matt McCall. So Walker back to the free throw stripe. Foul called on Fuentes. Then a double bonus. TNT this summer. The end is just the beginning from TNT and DreamWorks Television. Falling Skies for the latest on the new season. Steve, like us on Facebook.
Well, talking about John Pelfrey, I had a chance to visit with Sean Woods in Dayton, who coached his Mississippi Valley State team to the tournament. I asked him about the Christian Leitner shot that we've seen over and over again during the NCAA tournament. We show it every year. There's John Pelfrey. He was a member of that Kentucky team. Remember, they had a 1-point lead with 2 seconds left. Grant Hill throws the inbounds pass. And I asked Sean Woods, do you ever regret, the way that played out? He said, absolutely. He said, John Pelfrey was one of the guys guarding Leitner, but the last thing Coach Pitino told us before we left for the floor was don't foul. And as a result, the 2 bigs really sort of lost their aggressiveness. They kind of backed off and let Leitner catch the ball, and turned into one of the iconic moments in NCAA basketball history. But I would imagine, let's take a look at the flashback here. Here's Woods' shot, the bank that seemingly won the game. And watch Pelfrey behind Leitner to your right. He's just standing there afraid to foul. and Leitner gets a clean look. I got to think that goes over and over in John's head. I'm sorry to bring it up, John. That's my fault.
Did our producer, Scott Cockerell, and director, Lonnie Dell, they carry that in their pocket?
Everybody has that. I've seen it on a commercial every day for the last week.
Trying to give him some credit here. John Pelfrey had his jersey number retired in 1992, was it? Right?
Well, he was part of that group that really turned around Kentucky basketball. They had the scandal, probation. They were down in the dumps, and Pelfrey was one of the 4 seniors. I remember Richie Farmer, Sean Woods. They called them the Unforgettables. And all 4 of the seniors had their jerseys retired, which was really shocking because none of them were dominant players like you'd expect when you see a jersey retired, but it showed what they meant to the program getting it turned around.
Well, Steve, that closes out the John Pelfrey Rick Pitino segment of our telecast.
Well, we got 5:08 to go. What do you want to talk about?
As Irving Walker goes to the line.
Irving Walker to the free throw line for Florida.
And he'll have 2 shots with Norfolk State in the double bonus.
Substitution for Norfolk State. Into the game, number 2, Keegan Latla.
As for Norfolk State, as this one winds down, we're looking at 26 wins, their first ever NCAA tournament appearance since making the move to Division I.
Just an amazing game the other day against Missouri, and I know Anthony Evans and his team will leave today very disappointed, but in the long run, what a memory, a memory for a lifetime for these players. Upsetting the number 2 seeded Tigers, the emotion that they showed, getting the crowd into it here in Omaha. One of the great upsets in tournament history. Always tough to lose and go out of the tournament, but a little easier to swallow when you've had a performance like that one.
And we had raised the question early in the game against Missouri, would they have trouble dealing with the big stage? They played only 4 games before crowds of, 6,000 or more, and obviously they did not have trouble as they rose to the occasion. Fouls on O'Quinn, that's number 4, but this evening, a different story. Florida came out, pumped, hit their shots. I thought that 3 by Boynton early was key. It got him going.
Yeah, he was 0 for his last 9 from the 3-point line. He's their leading scorer. They made a couple of those threes early, but give Billy Donovan credit. And again, I'll re-emphasize this point. When you have a chance to see a team in the tournament like Norfolk State and watch the tape of that upset, now all of a sudden you can pick them apart a little bit. Missouri didn't have that luxury. They could watch the regular season tape, but it's a little different.
And the crowd reacting to Kyle O'Quinn as he takes a seat, and we probably will not see him the rest of the way with about 4.5 to go.
Well, Kyle O'Quinn had one of the great games in the tournament against Missouri. He also had one of the great interviews that we've seen with Greg Sager after the game. That was phenomenal.
Where he actually said, as Rob Johnson hits, the thrill it was to be able to talk to Craig for a second time.
And then, of course, Charles in our studio said, why would anybody want to talk to Craig Sager? But what I loved about the interview, Marv, was he talked about the fact that he only had 1 scholarship offer from Norfolk State, and he thanked his coaches. He said, I have no idea where I would be without these coaches. And really, it shows you the impact that college basketball can have on these young kids.
Well, he says in his senior year, he was the tallest kid. He said they needed somebody for the jump ball, and that was me.
Oh, what a disaster if that puts him out of the tournament.
Kenny Boynton able to knock it down. John Henson did play, and we're told he scored 13 points.
They can win without Henson. I don't think they can win without Marshall. Their point guard, and the guy who really runs everything offensively for that team. Let's hope it's something that, since it is his right hand, that maybe he can play with. But boy, what a blow for the Tar Heels.
Eric Murphy able to lay it home.
Billy Donovan's going to call a timeout here to make some substitutions.
3:15 remaining of the game. A look at our game summary here in Omaha, and Florida has maintained the 53% shooting most of the way. 10 of 27 from three-point land.
And look at that defensive number for Florida, allowing Norfolk State to make just 27% of its field goals, and that was coming off that tremendous defensive effort against Virginia.
A couple of substitutions for the Gators. Cody Larson and Walter Pitchford check in. Larson played briefly earlier. Both are freshmen. And for Norfolk State, Keevan Lila St. Rose, a sophomore out of Corona, New York, has come on. There's Chris Brown, who just checked in, taking that shot for the Spartans. So both teams trying to get some more minutes for players who normally do not see action, as Tamaris is able to drill it. 82-48, Florida, 2.5 to play. Rosario and Wilbekin in the combo backcourt. Wilbekin. Shot clock is down to 3. See what Boynton can do. Well, deflected out of bounds with no deflection. Last touch by Boynton.
If you're wondering why Boynton is still out there, Florida only suits up 9 players. So Billy Donovan not able to take everybody out of the game. He's got Walker on the bench as well as Beal, but he has to leave Boynton on the floor.
Does have a walk-on in Jacob Kurtz, who has appeared in 4 games.
I said 9, I should have said 10.
Sorry.
My mistake.
We'll edit it in the late version. That's
moving along to further action.
Yeah. Rosario. Oh, nice move.
Rosario.
12 points for Rosario. So Florida will advance to the Sweet 16 as they look ahead to Marquette out in Phoenix, Arizona. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
Back in Omaha, this is what we were talking about a couple minutes ago. Florida's defense arguably has been better than anybody's in the tournament to this point. Look at the numbers against Virginia, and then here tonight, field goal percentage, shooting, just locking everybody up. Obviously the matchups will get a lot tougher when they go against Marquette, but Florida showing great versatility, toughness, and intensity at that end of the floor.
Coming up on a minute to play. St. Rose not able to hit. Rebounded by Pitchford of Florida. So Florida moving on to the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in the last 7 years. This is Pitchford from deep. It'll be the 6th Sweet 16 for head coach Billy Donovan. A record of 25-10. And the opponent, 3rd seed Marquette, Thursday out in Phoenix. Last time they played Marquette was December of 1977 in Milwaukee. Keevan Lila St. Rose with the bucket.
Look at the emotion on that sideline. Last game for Brandon Wheelis, the senior. A tough moment, but a great performance by this Norfolk State team, coming up with that upset the other day and advancing.
Well, Friday night, a game that the players of Norfolk State will remember all their lives. Different story here tonight. The Gators of Florida breaking it open with the 25 straight points in the first half. And led by Kenny Boynton, who made the turn tonight. One of 5 Gators in double figures. Boynton 7 of 12, 20 points. Irving Walker at 15. And much of this applause from the crowd here in Omaha for the Spartans of Norfolk State. Coming from the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and finishing at 26-10. All right, let's go to Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, thank you very much, Marv. Over here is Billy Donovan and Kenny Boynton. And Coach, you said at times this year is a hard time to get the team motivated, but it looks like they're playing the best of basketball at the right time. What's the difference?
Well, I think this season's long. I think we've battled through some different injuries and different things, but I think this guy beside me, being an older guy, he brings it every day. So does Irving Walker. I think some of our younger guys are learning what it really takes and how hard they got to play, but they've done a very, very good job. I'm very happy for them and proud of them.
In a blowout game, it's hard to point to one basket, but Kenny made the first basket for you guys in that 3. How did that change things?
Well, the one thing I love about him is he's had a tough time shooting the last few games, but he's always believed in himself. He always has confidence, and when he made his first shot and was a drive to the basket, I could tell he really was in the flow of it, and he really gave us a huge boost once the game started.
Well, Kenny, 5 players in double figures. When that happens for the Gators, you're undefeated 9-0. You led the way, but you also had a career high in rebounding. You got Kosic's message.
Oh yeah, we do rebounding drills every day in practice. I just wanted to come out and help my team in any way possible.
You're going to the Sweet 16 now. What does that mean for you?
It means a lot. I've been in this situation last year. We lost in the Elite 8, so I know we can't stop right now. We got to keep working.
All right, congratulations. Great game. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Craig, 20 points. And Kenny Boynton with 8 rebounds, as Craig mentioned, a career high. As you see the brackets for the West region, it'll be Florida facing Marquette next Thursday night in Phoenix, Arizona, as it ends for Norfolk State following the extraordinary upset win over Missouri on Friday night. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager saying so long for now from Omaha. We'll take a quick break and then send you to our NCAA studio.